Picture this. The journey ahead starts here together, and together we can build a brighter future. You are listening to Illuminating Hope, a podcast of Hope House. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tina Johnson, Director of Community Engagement. Recently, I had the opportunity to sit down with Hope House CEO Marianne Matheny and a friend of Hope House, Charlie Harris. Charlie, welcome to the Illuminating Hope podcast. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I would love to chat a little bit and for our audience to get to know you better. So tell me about your affiliation with Hope House and your conviction behind that.
I'd be happy to. A number of years ago, I was approached about being on the board of Hope House. I knew about Hope House from just the media. Because I'm a lawyer, I was aware of it through what they do, not only in the community, but the message that they have that translates and transposes and goes all over the world, which is, let's help those people who need help. That was appealing to me. And so I got on the board, and I think I was on the board for 6 years.
It was a while.
It was a while. Enjoyed every minute of it. So I became acutely aware of the importance of raising funds, depending on the administration. It's not about politics, it's the administration that the different administrations deal with it differently. To a particular party, it's just whatever that administration sees fit at that time. I knew that Hope House would be subject to the whims of politicians and the economy. And so I came up with an idea of how I could help get my music out there as well.
You were on the board, and your talent was really helping us in the legal world. We always need to have an attorney on the board, and so we would come to you for help with whatever legal issues. I think sometimes people don't know that nonprofits also have. Yes. We have to go through some of those things as well. That's how we first got to know you, was through that lens, but now you have transitioned. You're still doing legal work, but you're also doing this music. Can you talk about how you made the transition?
Sure. In 2011, I got a bass guitar for Christmas. Keep in mind when I say I got a bass guitar, it isn't the first time I'd ever seen one, but it was that 7th and 8th grade garage band sort of thing. I think we're doing Deep Purple or Smoke on the Water. Who knows, right? But that went by the wayside because my real interest in school was, frankly, playing sports. That was an important part of my life through high school and certainly partly through college. But I always had this innate ability, or I call it a weirdness. Musicians I played with call it an ability. I could listen to music and I knew where it was going. I didn't know theory. I didn't know the notes, but I could literally listen to a song one time and tell you when the chorus was coming, when the bridge was coming. And I could pick up on the cadence, and it was really odd. My earliest memory of doing it is probably 6 years old. So I've had that all my life. And so when I picked up a bass, because I love some of the great bassists that are in the world now, I would watch TV at a practice law. I would come home, deal with family issues, and then I'd sit down and I'd watch TV. Now that seems odd, there's only so many hours in a day, but for me, that quiet time was important. And I wouldn't watch TV for long. My longest stint was probably about 45 minutes to an hour. And there's a dog, there's a kid, there's something. But I would take the bass in my hand and I'd listen to commercials. And I could listen to it and play it before the commercial finished. Didn't know anything about the instrument. I couldn't tune it. I didn't know it was E and D, A. I didn't know. But I could kind of do that. And then I got an opportunity to go out to what's called Wootton Woods, one of the more magical places on the entire planet. Musicians from all over the world. And when I say musicians, I mean this in a very inclusive way. Musicians means anybody that ever thought about playing an instrument. So there are people that are walking around that just picked up an instrument. People like me, my first time, I picked up an instrument maybe 2 months, 3 months before. And during that 2 or 3 months, it's what I like to call attorney practice time. See, when people have 3 or 4 months of play, you tend to think, I'm really engaged in it. My 3 or 4 months of playing really is 5 minutes here and there. That's all I got. I've got board meetings, I've got my law practice, family, all kinds of commitments. And so I had this opportunity to go out there. You see these people, again, never played before, they just got their instrument. Then you're walking around and you see people that you paid literally $50, $60, $70, $150 to go see. They're just walking around. It's a farm of about 150 acres. And there's 4 or 5 buildings. And so you'll see someone from like Dave Matthews, or you'll see jazz players, Bootsy Collins from Funkadelic is there, and Bela Fleck is there. You're like, this is ridiculous. They're the most humble, the most caring people I've ever met. This notion that musicians are not approachable or they're egomaniacs. At that camp, you can't afford to do that because you'll literally get run out, because it's about peace, it's about love and so forth. And I listened for 2 or 3 days. It's a 3-day camp. It was really funny. Victor Wooten, who, like I said, is a 6-time Grammy winner, he was always pushing me. Come on, man, you got to go out there and play. I'm like, Victor, look, I'm not a musician. I've had so much fun. I get to go back and tell everybody in Kansas City, I met Dave Matthews, I met Victor Wooten, I met this guy, this guy. We talked about sports and everything else. I said, I'm good. That last day, and this part is seminal because it literally changed my life. I told you I could listen to music and come up with it. Well, oddly, I was composing music, but I didn't know why or how, or it sounded okay to me. So it was the last moment. I'm getting ready to go catch my flight, say my goodbyes, and then something hit me. I think it was divine intervention. I said, why don't you go play something? So there's this main stage, right? And while I play on the main stage all the time now, you don't go up there, because that's where the really good players are. I just walked up, there was no one there. I plugged in, and I started playing the song I wrote, which I perform to this day. In fact, it becomes one of the most requested songs that I do. And I start playing it. I noticed people were sitting around starting to look. And all of a sudden, a flute player comes up and starts playing with me.
Oh, fun.
Then a sax player comes up, a vocalist comes up, another 2 bass guitars, and all of a sudden, they're looking at me to lead the song. We get done, and Victor Wooten tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, where are you going? I said, I got to catch a plane and get back to Kansas City. He said, well, what do you do? I said, I'm a lawyer. And he said, what? Like, how can you practice law as shy as you are? I said, I'm not shy. I was just scared. I wouldn't know. What do I have to offer, right? And he said, look, I want to tell you something. He said, you can play. You can really play. He said, what you did today, I couldn't have done. Marcus Miller, a multi-Grammy winner, or Stanley Clarke couldn't have played. Okay. He said, you need to stay with it. You just don't know the language. And I said, well, how do you know that? And he started explaining to me the same things that I do now that I help musicians with, or musicians help me with, about timing, about feel, how to push the beat. I didn't know all of that. I hear this and I'm like, okay. So I get back to Kansas City. I know a friend of a friend who knows Victor Wooten. And I tell him the story, and I said, the guy was so cool. He was just being nice, and it was really cool. I'm like, I'm not going to be playing again, but it was like cool. He goes, no, you don't understand about those guys, the Wooten brothers. They're all Grammy winners in different bands. One of them's a keyboardist for a Steve Miller band that you see all the time. That's one of the brothers. The other 2 brothers are Grammy winners. Like, the family's just crazy. He said, those Wooten brothers, they're the nicest people. They don't give out compliments if they don't mean it. Oh, okay. So I kind of got fired up, and I started practicing. They had another camp later on that year in October. By that time, I had a little more confidence, played with some guys. We hit it off there in Nashville, North Carolina, and asked, hey, we got to form a band. Okay. I don't know how that's going to work with me in Kansas City, but that's great. Long story short, almost a year and a half after I met Victor from that very first time, I had recorded an album with 3 guys that I met in Nashville, a band called Chili Hot, and we actually, in 2015, did a small tour and came to Kansas City and played at Knuckleheads, which is really full circle moment. I fell in love with the process. People often ask me, well, okay, if you're helping raise a family and you are practicing law on a national level and dealing with international issues, when do you have time? And I said, I don't know that you do. I think what you do is, if you have a love for it, you just do it. So I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'd practice. Then when it was time to get the kids together to go out, then you get them out. Then you go to work. And then you're dead tired. You get a workout in to stay awake. And then you practice the minute they go to bed for 4 or 5 hours. I never thought of it as practice because I didn't know what practice was. I was teaching myself. So oddly, what I would do, most musicians would learn scales and modes and those sort of things. I never concentrated on that. I wrote music. Now I know why I'm writing what I'm writing. I didn't understand what made me unique before. It comes natural, which is I was told, wow, the way you break the rules and then put them back together is really unique. I just didn't have the heart to tell them. I don't even know the rules. So I don't know what rules to break it in. It just seemed natural to me. Do very much enjoy performing. It's a gas. It's just, I wish everybody could experience it. The joy of being able to change someone's life with just a note. So that's why I always tell people, you're never too old to learn an instrument. I get to play with people that have been nominated for Grammys, people that have won Grammys, some of the best musicians on the planet because of my association with Victor Wooten and that group. Interestingly enough, we went from, hey, how you doing, to friends, then we became colleagues, and then we became one of my closest people in my life. It was largely because I didn't want anything from him. You know, everyone somebody genuine like, oh, it's Victor Wooten. He was just like a guy knew in the neighborhood as far as I was concerned. And I think that's what he's always appreciated.
So when you talk about composing, did you know how to write the music, or how did you?
I did not.
How do you do that then?
Well, there are a couple of things. And Jimi Hendrix said it best. I'm not comparing myself to Jimi Hendrix, but I am a Jimi Hendrix fan. He said it best, and John Coltrane alluded to it later in his life, is music is not just about notes. Jimi Hendrix would say he would hear music in colors. That's how he saw it. I tend to see it the same way. Coltrane talks about it. It's no longer music, it's what's in your soul. I was going through the process in the first album that I did. I tell people that I had no idea what key I was playing. I just knew that this was good. This is where I start. And I was with some really talented musicians that believed in me. They're like, oh my God, that's great. How'd you think of that? I don't know. It just heard in my head, right? And so I try not, the more I learn about music, obviously over time and being with people that are very deep in the theory, I try not to lose that process. Yes, I do write down the music now. And yes, I do talk to the musicians about how to arrange it and so forth. But at core, it still comes down to sitting in front of a piano, picking up a bass guitar, picking up a guitar, having something that was in your head, finding it, and then building on it by writing it and playing it.
Kansas City is really known for jazz and live music. Do you play with a lot of the locals here in Kansas City?
Somewhat, not much. You would think that I would be playing all the time. I don't, because I made a very conscious decision early on that I would concentrate on original music, because I just simply believe whether you're just starting music or not, you have a story to tell. And that's all music is. It's a language and a story. And so the best musicians in the world have a certain arrogance. It's not ego-driven in the sense that we think of arrogance. It's being crazy enough to believe that you have something in your head that somebody wants to hear. And I've always had a pretty rock-solid belief in that. The music is based on certain principles, and I knew that there are very few bands that had tried it or even thought through what I was trying to do.
Charlie, you have an annual event that raises funds for Hope House called Sonderluss Soul. Can you explain the meaning behind the name, first of all, and then tell us about the event?
For the name, what I want to do is I want to come up with this elaborate story that will alter your life. I want to say something that makes you say, oh my God, that is just so amazing. But I cannot. We were just having a conversation about this probably a couple of weeks ago. And there were two of us that were around, and we both had kind of a same story, but kind of not. Bill Thompson, who plays harmonica, wonderful harmonica players from Kansas City. And I believe, Marianne, you saw him last year. Like, just a wonderful player.
Yep.
I was playing with Black Folk, which you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a duo, violin and bass. And we were looking for a name because he and I were at my house rehearsing in my studio, just kind of kicking it. This is before Sonderluss Soul, this is before anything, right? And this woman who he had been working with said, I've got a gig tonight, so can you guys show up and play? Bill, I don't know her. I don't know what kind of music she had. They're about I'd say less than a minute of saying that, we were like, let's go do it. So we went. So what should our name be? It'd be soulful. And so we came up with, and I can't remember whether it was in the dictionary or something, but we saw this word sonder, and it meant the ability to gather people together. And I don't know what language it was in either, but it was like, oh, soulful music that gathers people together. And then lus became from another word, I think it was French. And so we just slapped it together, and we showed up. And that was the name, Sonderluss Soul.
Wow.
We had never practiced together. I did not meet. I walked in, I shook her hand, and she had a couple of songs that she liked, and I had them explaining to me what keys it in, kind of sing it so I could hear it. So this is 30 minutes before the show. So before the people came in, I started playing some things that Bill and I had been messing with. She liked those. So we had a set of probably 6 songs.
Now this is the third one, right?
This is the third one. So, yes.
Yes. And it's grown each year.
Every year
it keeps growing.
Every year we've sold out. We began at Inglewood.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year we went to Knuckleheads in the Gospel Lounge.
Right.
Frank, the owner of Knuckleheads, was impressed with the music, and he and I have hit it off. People would think we've known each other for years, the way we go at each other. So he said, look, you guys sold out. Let's put you in a bigger room next time. I had cases going. I think I was getting ready for a trial, and then I was an arbitrator in another matter and something else. And like a fool, I went, okay, fine, let's do it. Not realizing, of course, the Gospel Lounge holds 100 people, which is a rare thing for a Kansas City group that does original music, largely without vocals, to put 100 people in the room. But we have done that consistently. This time, I think the garage at Knuckleheads holds 200. It'll be interesting. It'll be, I don't know that I've been more geeked about a concert. Like I love being a part of trying to help. I love the mission. I love the management. It's not an academic exercise for me. When you're on a board and you are involved and you're taking tours and you're listening. Marianne's my neighbor in my neighborhood for years, so it's not pie in the sky. I know the difficulty, and I know that each year as we grow, we'll bring in more money. But as important is getting the word out about hope. I know that if we sell this out, and I'm pretty certain we will, next year, we're going to try something more different and bigger. We're going to make it a regional destination where people every year know to come there. So maybe I can use some of my contacts to get the right people in from out of town and guest and play. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I am too. We got our tickets, and the people that came with us last year want to come again.
Great.
So it's going to be good. I'm excited.
Great.
Just out of curiosity, did you know Mama Ray?
Yeah. I did.
She was a huge supporter of ours as well, and used her music in very similar ways, just trying to bring people together to educate. That was very, very important to her. That she had worked with us for a while as an employee. She then moved on to other things, but never lost that connection, and it was so sad when we lost her. Just listening to you talk made me think of her as well. Just bringing people together and
to be mentioned in the same breath
wow.
as her is remarkable.
So Charlie, tell our listeners what to expect at Sonderluss Soul at Knuckleheads on April 18th.
The music that you'll hear on April 18th is unlike anything you've ever heard. I do something that is bold and crazy, but I believe this. I tell anyone that's ever come during our shows, I don't care what city, if you don't walk away from our music and go, holy crap, those people can play, I'll give you your money back on the spot. I have that belief in it. Now, notice I didn't say it was the best music you ever heard of, the best musicians, right? That's not the issue. The issue is that it's a fusion of all types of music. And every song, we don't force it in. Sometimes you'll hear a band, they'll play something and then they force in this jazz thing. We don't force anything in because our minds don't work that way. There's another reason it'll be music like you've never heard, because we don't know what it's going to be. We know what the key is, we know what the song is. Obviously they're well rehearsed, but we just did a show at Hammers. It was our first time as a trio, right, with this new music we've been writing. We get a minute into the song, and it's a part where I start to solo, And I went off on a tangent, and they went right with me.
Oh,
And I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, and we're just shrugging it. And so we went with it, and the crowd loved it. It has an opportunity to change each and every time. So much of it for me is how the audience feels.
I love the passion behind your music. You could tell the passion comes straight from the core of your souls. Charlie, I appreciate you coming on today, and thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, and everybody listening, come out. Tickets are on sale right now with a Knucklehead site. There are not that many left, to be honest about it. So I just need people to hurry up and sell it out. And when it sells out, do have a few that I set aside that I can give to people. Get on there and they go sold out. Charlie Harris, look me up on Facebook. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy a one-of-a-kind jazz concert from the band Sonderluss Soul, with proceeds benefiting Hope House, April 18th at Knuckleheads, 2715 Rochester Avenue, KCMO. For more information, visit hopehouse.net.